Hey friends, I'm Jessa Bray, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week, we invite you to slow down and join us to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of your life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Hey guys, I am back. Did you miss me? When I came in for my first solo episode a few weeks ago about my favorite dinner finds at Aldi, you were so nice to me that I thought I'd come back and share some more tips from the kitchen. A few of you sent me some DMs about my cooking philosophy, which I like to call halfway homemade. And I thought that I'd come and talk to you with my BFF, Laura, because trust me, everything is better with her, much like garlic or cilantro. We're sharing all kinds of ideas for the easiest dinners that you could possibly make on a weeknight, the ingredients that we swear by to cut time in half, and how to make your own cooking halfway homemade. Because y'all, there is no shame in the store-bought game, for real. Do you know who makes the best brownies in the world? Ghirardelli. Actually, they're box mix. You know it's true. Don't fight me on this. It just goes to show you how delicious a halfway homemade recipe can be. So here we go. Here's my conversation with one of my favorite people in the whole world, Laura, about how to make your meals halfway homemade and save you so much time and stress. Hi.
Our resident food pro here on the podcast. How many food episodes have you done now?
This is now my second food episode. I would like to say, hi, my name is Jessa. I am a food addict.
I mean, it's just another one of your many hobbies that you excel at. So I'm so excited we get to talk more about it.
I know. You guys really seem to like the last episode with Aldi. So yeah, I'm happy to dig into this one.
The feedback that we got on that episode, wow.
I know. I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of you were so just positive with your feedback. Actually, Amy sent me some of the reviews they are in, and I was like, well, we didn't hear from the ones who didn't like it. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped. So let's do it.
So we're expanding on something that you talked about in that episode, which was halfway homemade, which I love an alliteration.
Always an alliteration.
So tell me more about halfway homemade.
Okay, so first things first, I did not make it up. I want that to be super clear. I adopted it. It is now mine because I use it in my everyday life. And it was a term that the Busy Bee Collective throws around, and please go follow them on Instagram. They are incredible women. But basically the idea is that if you are making your protein, like the meat of your meal, and you're putting the time and effort into like making that more from scratch, then allow your sides to be something that is maybe frozen, maybe prepackaged, maybe mostly done for you, so that you're not having to like feel like you are being absolutely intentional with both sides of the meal, which can feel very overwhelming during witching hour with children that are starving and screaming at you, and vice versa. Like maybe you get like a rotisserie chicken and like you need the sides to be a little more bumped up. And so like you spend more time on those, but your protein is kind of already handled. So half of your meal is homemade and super thoughtful and intentional. And then the other half is you taking the help.
So smart, but so easy.
It's just so easy. It feels elementary to talk about. Like, yeah, that makes sense. But like you don't feel that way when your in-laws are coming over. You feel that pressure of like, it has to all be from scratch. Like I have to
spend 8 hours today in the kitchen to just slave away. Yes.
Right.
What a concept. So what is one of your favorite halfway homemade meals that you're making like this week?
Okay. Like a hyperfixation meal.
Yes.
Elise Meyer's version. Okay. Shout out to Elise. We love her.
Love her
So much. Come on our podcast. But okay, so hyperfixation meal at the moment, obviously we have talked about my love of tacos. Something that I really love, I try to get fermented foods in when I can. They're just super good for like your gut, help the body all the way around. So something that I like to do is a pork loin, the ones that like you're kind of like suspicious at the store sometimes that come in like some already like marinade situation. You know what I'm talking about?
There's some liquid. Yes.
Yeah, there's a liquid there. Okay, but we're not going to be afraid of the liquid. So Aldi, again, I love their pork loins. It's also a very budget-friendly meal. This is probably one of the cheapest meals that you can make and feel good about. For our family, I do 2 pork loins. I've got boys here and they are eating machines. So we do 2 pork loins. I usually go with like a pretty general seasoning. So I don't do really specific like lemon pepper. That's not my jam. But if it's like Italian or like black pepper, that's great because you can add so much to that and zhuzh it up. So I literally take one of those, I cut it in half, I put a little bit of blackening seasoning all over it, and I throw that in the air fryer at 375 for 20 minutes. You're going to flip it in between that 20. And then what you're going to do is take a jar of sauerkraut and put it all the way around. And you're just going to pop it in the oven for 5 minutes. So that sauerkraut gets like warm and delicious, and like literally serve. And then just grab a steamed veggie and serve it alongside it. It is very quick. It is very efficient, very easy. The cool thing about pork loin is like once you slice it, number one, it looks very pretty. But number two, kids can add whatever condiment of their choosing to make it feel like, it's not a pork loin sometimes if they're picky.
My mouth is watering.
But that is sauerkraut, dude. I love sauerkraut.
Oh, how did you? Okay, this is so helpful. And you said I'm not a chef, but honestly, I trust you more than any chef because you're a mom in the kitchen who's doing the thing every day. How did you become, how is this a trial and error over the past decade of living?
Yeah. I would say like because Tyler and I getting married so young, I was 18, he was 20, and he came from a family that cooked like good Southern comfort food. I came from a family where my mom was very much a lot like a lot of our girls on this team. Like she liked the idea of cooking, but she didn't want to do it. And so my dad cooked a lot, and my dad had me help him in the kitchen a lot. And I loved that time with him. It is a very nostalgic thing for me to be in the kitchen and like doing the things and reminiscing and all of, but because of Tyler getting married so young and the expectations that were there, I had to learn how to cook very quickly. It took me a while to get good at, but because we didn't have a lot of money, you have to figure it out. It's just one of those things, like you figure it out once you're in that place. And so I did. And so now I feel like I do have like a really good like toolbox of meals, like depending on the amount of time we have or depending on how much money we want to like put into groceries that week. I have a pretty good understanding and, way of working around those things.
Yeah, you have it down to a science now. I love that you said toolbox because I really think that when you're prepared for the week and you feel prepped, this is way easier. This is way easier to do. So that toolbox, like what would you say you always make sure that you have in your pantry, in your fridge or your freezer so that these are easier to make on the spot?
Great question. So let's go through proteins to always have on hand in your freezer. Number one, a fish is going to thaw.
Wait, hold on. Should we give everyone a chance to go get a piece of paper and a pencil? Because
please grab your Simplified notepad at this time and a Simplified dot pen.
Honestly, you're going to want to write this down. You're going to wish that you are writing this down.
Yeah, take notes.
Okay, continue. Back to protein.
I keep a fish or a shrimp in the freezer at all times. And the reason is those two things will thaw faster than any kind of ground meat that you have or any kind of chicken that you have. So those two things I always have, and they're a great protein. If you're looking at like having leaner options, those are great to have on hand. And the other thing that I have in my freezer at all times is a meatball, an already pre-cooked bag of meatballs. Those are like my go-to freezer panic. We only have so much time. What can we do? Those are always in there. In my fridge, I like to make sure every single week, I like to meal plan. I like to really have it nailed down. Tyler and I are very spontaneous people. And when you tell us to plan something in advance, we literally are like, I don't know if we'll want that on Thursday because yes, our feelings determine so much of like how we eat or what we eat. And so like if you're telling me that I have to eat spaghetti on Thursday, most likely I'm going to be like, no, I don't. I don't have to. Yeah.
We're the same. Yeah.
Yeah. But in my fridge, weekly, you'll find a big thing of chicken because chicken breast can go a long way. And then 2 pounds of ground beef. And between a huge pack of chicken breast, 2 pounds of ground beef, and then 2 options in the freezer as far as like shrimp or fish, like that usually will get us through a week and we can make plenty out of that. In my pantry, if you have kids, like keep a noodle. Always have a noodle on hand and always have microwave, easy, ready rice.
Yes.
Also sauces. I always have spaghetti sauce on hand. Another thing in your pantry, just to help you out, have some bases in your can. So whether it's a cream of mushroom, a cream of chicken, and then your broth. So beef broth, chicken broth, those 4 things will help make any dish go further. It's the start of a sauce for things like beef stroganoff or any kind of casserole. If you're trying to like make it a little creamier, those things will help. So yeah, have some bases available to you. You'll thank yourself in the long run. Dairy, I always have shredded cheese. Always have shredded cheese here because you're going to use it on something, whether I'm making a quick quesadilla or putting it over a taco skillet. I need it. And I always have Greek yogurt on hand because we do make a lot of like condiments that go on top of things. And instead of using sour cream, it's just one of those places that we can easily like step up our nutrition game.
Yes.
So that's like a very easy swap for us, is like a Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. And again, it is a base for any kind of sauce that you want to make, any kind of crema. We make a sriracha Greek yogurt situation that we put on top of hash. So yeah, those are probably a lot of my go-tos. You should just always have garlic and cilantro. Garlic, cilantro, and sweet potatoes are my 3 that you will never find me out of here.
I feel like I just like took a course in like adulting for adults 101, like how to be an adult in your kitchen. Like seriously, that no one in my life has ever made it that simple for me, you know, because
Yeah.
the expectations that are set upon someone who wants to cook at home is insane.
It is insane.
And this feels so doable and so easy.
And we're having to undo a lot of the work that our parents did, which was like when we were growing up, there were so many easy options coming out. We know now that those easy options weren't the greatest. Like,
Right.
they weren't the best for us. It's just learning how to do things a little bit differently, but they can still be simple and they can still be easy.
By now, you guys know that I am obsessed with making our meals halfway homemade. And if you want to try some halfway homemade dinners that you can feel great about, then Green Chef is here for you. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well, and they help you make delicious, easy to follow recipes that support you however you're fueling your body. Whether you're eating keto, vegan, gluten-free, or if you're just looking for some balanced meals, Green Chef has something you're going to love. When I heard about Green Chef's new protein-packed collection, I was 100% sold because we try to fill up on protein around here. Green Chef has some fantastic high-protein meals that fit the bill here. We loved the enchilada spiced turkey bowls with a smoky crema on top, and we felt so fancy when we made the almond crusted barramundi. I mean, it sounds fancy, but we just told our kids that we were eating grown-up fish sticks, and hello, they loved it. Try this halfway homemade life with me and check out Green Chef. Go to greenchef.com/simplified60 and use code simplified60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/simplified60 and use code simplified60 to get 60% off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Okay, guys, this is about the time of year that I need to pick me up. Just a little treat yourself to shake things up. And trust me when I say there is no better treat yourself than getting cozy in some buttery soft sheets from Boll & Branch. Listen, I know that you've probably seen Boll & Branch on your socials. You may have wondered, is it worth it? Well, ma'am, let me just tell you that the hype is real. Boll & Branch sheets are made with 100% cotton thread that get softer with every single wash. It's truly magical. Tyler and I got the signature hemmed sheets a couple of months ago, and holy cannoli, I could not believe how comfortable they were and are, because they don't leave our bed unless we're washing them, and I literally make sure I get them back on the same day. They're buttery soft, they're breathable, and they make our bed look super crisp and white, like we're sleeping on some hotel cloud. 10 out of 10 stars. They look great. They feel great. They're loved by millions, including 3 US presidents, and you can try them risk-free for 30 nights with free shipping and returns on all US orders. So make the most of bedtime with Boll & Branch sheets. Get 15% off your first set of sheets when you use promo code SIMPLIFIED at bollandbranch.com. That's Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com. Promo code SIMPLIFIED.
So was there ever a season where you were anti halfway homemade? Like you thought you had to do it all from scratch because if you didn't, it felt like cheating. What happened before you felt super comfortable in this space right now?
Oh, I think failing is what made me super comfortable in this space, because the expectation of I've always wanted to work to help support our family. That's just how I operate. I know that we have kids. I could obviously like just work with our kids here in the home, and like that is super admirable. But like I have always wanted a job. So me having the stress of a full-time job, just that normal stress, and then putting kids and schedules on top of that, and then putting the expectation of creating a meal from scratch, it didn't last long.
That's failure.
Yeah, you set yourself up a little bit for failure. I have a lot of friends in my life who are still very much like in love with the idea of everything from scratch, and it does work for them. They have the time and they have the effort to put towards it, and I think it's incredible. But I found very quickly that the pressure to make it all from scratch wasn't going to work for our lifestyle. And also, I realized that eating healthy and choosing to honor your body with food doesn't have to look like it happening all at once. So in an ideal world, I would love to be on Whole30 every day. You know what I mean? Like I'd love to just use whole foods and everything come from scratch and be organic and all of that happen at once. And, being able to afford that kind of way of eating for a family of 5, like that sounds magical. But it truly is the small steps. Like you just make small steps and eventually you get to this place where you're like, I have a pretty good grip on like trading things up or putting meals together that are a lot more nutritious and better than what we were doing before. And that's what counts. It's the progress and it's not like the all at once factor.
Yes. Oh, amen. I love that so much. So week at a glance, what does this look like? Like how many of these halfway homemade meals are you doing in a week? Do you still do takeout here and there, leftovers? Like what does an average week look like in the Bray household?
I will never be the one to say that we eat in every single day of the week. There's a couple nights that are not hard. They're just a little bit crazier. So Monday nights, that's my night to go to Bible study. So I know that I need to have something that's very quick and also easy to clean up because Tyler is left with 3 kids that need to get changed and ready for bed. So that night is either a quick crock pot situation that is ready for us without a lot of effort, or it is a takeout night. And we're fine with that. The pickle that I really got in is I would find myself feeling a lot of shame for planning for us to eat in our house every single night of the week and getting to these days that felt like pain points and being like, oh my gosh, I have to cook. And now I've wasted money. So now instead of like getting to that feeling, I know that I just prepare for myself to not be in a place to be able to make something. So we just budget that. So there's 2 nights like that. Tyler's practice on Thursday. So we plan at least we're going to do 3 to 4 meals at home cooked by us because Tyler cooks too. And so cooked by us and then 2 dinners a week is takeout. And then honestly, leftovers, they don't go far here.
Yeah.
My kids are growing. For us to have a good amount of leftovers, that's like batch cooking for us because Leland is a growing boy. Honestly, Lucy can kill it. So their leftovers aren't really a thing right now. I'm sure they will be soon. But yeah, and any leftovers that we do have, I find a way to eat them for lunch the next day. I throw them in a tortilla.
So smart.
Or on top of lettuce. And we call it a meal.
That feels so good too. When you get to lunch the next day and you're like, oh, I'm eating a great lunch that I
know
planned for last night. That is so great. I think that's very, very helpful to hear like, okay, what does this look like zoomed out to a week? That helps me in my brain.
Yeah.
So are we talking like 30 minutes typically?
Every single night of what I make is 30 to 40 minutes. I can't go over 40. Number 1, I don't have my own attention span that can last longer than that. Number 2, with Cal, especially right now, and his little hands like wanting to grab things on the oven and like really having to watch out for him, I truly cannot be detached from him for longer than that time and letting him run rampant in the house with the others. So 30 to 40 minutes is what that looks like. And there's just things that you can cut down your time. If you're working from home, then use your lunch break 5 minutes. 5 minutes to cut a vegetable that you know that you're going to use. Sweet potatoes are an actual nuisance to cut. I understand it takes biceps and it takes a sharp knife, but like chopping those beforehand for a meal saves me so much time, and vice versa. Like if you're a professional that's like out in the work world and you have to go to work, then if you can, either night before as you're cleaning up the kitchen, chop something else before everything's cleaned up for the next night, or that morning if your morning routine, it wouldn't happen here, I can tell you that much, but if your morning routine allows you, prep something for dinner for that night.
It's like that, do something that your future self will thank you for.
Yes, yes, yes.
Of course, your future self's your nighttime 30 minutes before dinner self is going to be thankful that you chopped a sweet potato at lunch while you had 2 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Because those 2 minutes just are broken into, like, it becomes 10 minutes when you're having to take breaks to open juice boxes or to take shoes off or to put shoes back on. And like, you're like, holy cow, I'm just trying to chop a sweet potato, guys. Like, that's it. But
yeah.
So yeah.
So smart. So how are you finding like new recipes? Are you adapting old things? Are you going online? Are you a recipe book girl? Like, how are you keeping it? Yes, I know you have like your staples that your family will love and you do those on a weekly basis. But if you're feeling like in a rut, where do you go for some new inspo?
I am absolutely a cookbook girl. I am very inspired by cookbooks and food photography. I think they are absolutely beautiful and stunning. And there are certain accounts that I follow on Instagram all of the time for inspiration. One of those being Alex Snodgrass. I also follow Diane Morrissey. I just started following this account called Mob. They are in the UK and they have a lot of recipes that seem very normal and probably a part of their culture, but to us over here, I would never cook the way that they cook, and I find it fascinating. And it's their 30-minute versions of these comfort meals. So I'm like, how do I adapt those types of recipes here and start trying some things? We are very much try it people. We want to try new vegetables. We want to try new proteins, new sauces. The thing is, though, I never follow a recipe to a T. I'm not that girl. I have a really hard time writing my recipes down also afterwards because I change so much. Because if I don't have it on a recipe, I know this is really difficult to get in this mind space for a lot of our type A girls and a lot of our rule followers. But my motto is like, I use what I have. So it's just figuring out, like, I see a recipe, this is what I have, and this is how we can adapt. And as long as my plate looks colorful, I know that there's enough nutrients in it. And as long as I'm using, like, I love the show Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yes.
But those 4 concepts will change the way that you cook. So I make sure, like, are we getting all of our boxes checked with what we have? Because if that's the case, that's a great meal, because I'm feeding my family and we're trying something new. And the worst that can happen is that we don't like it and everybody gets PB&Js.
I love that.
So yeah, like, big fan of being inspired by other ways of cooking and then adapting them to our family and our needs and what they're actually going to eat.
We are very similar where we're not the type A. We're more like, let's use what we have is a great way to put it. My favorite thing to do is when I'm making something and I'm like, okay, I don't have this. So I go to Google and I say, what can I use if I don't have refried beans? And the creative things that I find are incredible. And it's usually something I have on hand. Like, has there ever been something that you've had to Google like that and like you tried a new way of making this recipe and you loved it even more than the original?
Yeah, I'm going to butcher the name of this. I made sticky carrots. It was a recipe off of Mob. It was sticky harissa. Harissa is the sauce. Harissa carrots and chickpeas. And it was on top of whipped feta, and it was fantastic. But I didn't have harissa paste. It's kind of hard to find here. That's something that I would have to probably go to like a specialty store for or order it offline. But I easily just looked up, like, what even is it? What is harissa paste? And I realized that it's like this roasted chili sauce. So I'm like, okay, well, I do have a red chili here. I had a dried chili too. And so I just literally put them in a food processor with a little bit of jalapeno and olive oil and salt, pepper, made it like this, like, spice. My mouth is watering. That's why I'm like swallowing. But like, I just put in a food processor and we used it and it was bomb. Nobody knew that it was a harissa paste. Like, nobody knows that. I mean, they probably did if they were, grading the recipe, but my family thought it was fantastic and we made it work. So I run into them all the time. I've ran into the exact same bean situation as you, and we just use what we have and we mash it up. Yep. And that's what you get.
Scrappy.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be, because it's just too much pressure to be like, I need 85 ingredients, 40 of which I'm not going to ever use again, or I'm going to have to recreate this exact meal 4 different times to use it all up. So I'd rather just use the things that I have and continue life because it is very much demanding outside of the kitchen.
The freedom that comes from being okay with that is amazing.
Yeah, if you guys can get comfortable with breaking the rules and not following a recipe to a T unless it is baking, I understand my bakers, like you have to follow the recipe because actual chemistry is happening. But any kind of cooking that isn't baking, it's okay to break the rules. I promise it's going to be fine.
I love that. So have you ever made something that you were really, really excited about, the idea, and then it just did not work? Does that happen? Or are you scrappy enough that you can find a way out?
Most things are fixable. Like most things can be saved with a sauce or the addition of bread. Honestly, truly. A lot of things can be saved that way. But there are things that just didn't hit right. One of those was actually, this is great. I want to be honest about this. This is an Aldi fail. So I bought the tikka masala sauce from Aldi. So I did like a jasmine rice that was in a pouch, microwave that bad boy. I cut some chicken. This was like the part that I kind of had to work at, which was just cutting the chicken. So it's not that much work. And then I dumped the tikka masala sauce and Tyler knew right away. He knew right away. He was like, babe, did you make this like from scratch? And I was like, so no, because just a little bit of, I'm going to go crazy. So no, I didn't. Kids were a whole thing today. And he was like, yeah, so it's not good. And I was like, okay. But you know what we had to do with that situation is I just needed to add a bunch of cilantro to it. It needed acid. And that sauce had nothing in it. It had no acid in it. So a ton of lime juice and some cilantro, and we powered through. It was fine after that.
That's hilarious. Hey, honesty, right?
Yeah, no, it needs to happen because I will be like, oh, they loved that meal. Let me pick that sauce up again. And Tyler will throw it in the trash while I'm not looking. So sauces, though, if you have Greek yogurt, I'm going to tell you rapid, just 3 sauces you can make right now that are going to level up anything. So you're going to take Greek yogurt, a little bit of sriracha, lemon juice, salt and pepper. That you're going to put on any kind of like, so we can use that for tacos. We'll put that on any kind of tacos that we want just for like a zing. I use it on hash. So that's like kielbasa and sweet potatoes and chickpeas. Any kind of like Indian type food or even like Korean type food, that would be the sauce that I choose. Okay. So next sauce is just a basic crema. So this would be used if you are doing like any kind of like Mexican type situation. So it's going to be Greek yogurt, cilantro, lime juice, and a little bit of avocado. And you know what? Tahini. Because if you have not bought tahini yet and you've listened to the first podcast, I am disappointed in you, but it's going to be fine because you have another chance. Okay. The third one. So you're going to take Greek yogurt. You're going to take half of a ranch seasoning packet. And you're going to take 2 tablespoons of dill and like a little bit of pepper. That ranch can go with fries, with burgers, or it can go like if you guys wanted to do like a roast beef sandwich and like zing it up a little bit, that would be great there.
And so easy. And Greek yogurt. I mean, it's staple. You already said that, but clearly in all 3 of these, that's the base.
Yeah, it is the base. Yeah.
Do you always, your lime and your lemon juice, do those always come from fresh lemons and limes?
Yes.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like, why not? Like, it's just so much easier fresh. I will say, if you are like, I cut limes and I'm not getting juice, I never knew, this is a pro tip, I never knew that you were supposed to roll your citrus before cutting it. So you roll your limes pretty hard, you roll your lemons pretty hard, and you're going to get all of that,
the release. Well,
I was going to say fascia. Like it's a body. What am I doing? I'm disgusting. Okay,
but that we roll our oranges before I peel them for the girls. That's what we've always done with our citrus.
Right. It's same is true for lemons and limes. So you're just going to get the most out of your citrus if you're rolling it. The membrane, it's going to break up the membrane in there.
There we go.
It's going to allow. Yeah, there we go. Yep, that's it.
We got there.
Yep, we got there.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been Honestly, like I'm going to have to take a picture of my notes and we'll post them the day this comes out so people can see that I've actually been writing it down. And I'm sure everyone else is doing the same.
Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially since we're always growing and changing. The last 10 years of my life have been full of change, from getting married to having kids to getting into a groove in my career. It's been a lot of change. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way that we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from where you are. Listen, therapy is so helpful. It's not just for when you're going through a crisis. It can help you learn positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. Thank God for boundaries. Honestly, it just empowers you to be the best version of yourself. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, super flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/simplified today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/simplified. Raise your hand if you're ready to breathe some life into your backyard this spring. Both my hands are up, you just can't see. But how much do you want to go to the nursery and haul around the heavy plants and schlep them all the way back to your house without spilling soil all over your car? Do you wish that you could just order your plants online and they'd show up at your door? Well, it's 2023, and that means yes, you can order plants online. And fastgrowingtrees.com is here to help. From shade plants and fresh fruit to privacy and natural beauty, let fastgrowingtrees.com help plant your dream garden. They have all kinds of easy to grow plants, shrubs, and trees that'll thrive in your growing zone, from Meyer lemons to evergreens and everything in between. And with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, you know everything will look great right out of the box. Speaking of Meyer lemons, we got a Meyer lemon tree for our patio and we love it. It was super healthy when it arrived, and all we had to do is put it in a pot and add a little soil and some water. Boom, it was done. I can't wait to have lemons right outside my kitchen. And now I'm thinking we need an avocado tree. I don't know, maybe a banana tree. We'll see. I'll keep you posted. So this spring, join over 1.5 million happy fast growing tree customers. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com/simplified now to get 15% off your entire order. That's 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com/simplified.
Do you want to do some rapid fire real quick?
Let's do it.
A halfway homemade meal you crave.
Halfway homemade meal that I crave is pot roast every time.
Love it. A halfway homemade meal that your hubby loves.
Cilantro lime chicken. So your homemade part is like your chicken breast. You're going to thinly slice chicken breast, brown those suckers in a pan with a little bit of olive oil and garlic, salt and pepper. And then you're going to leave all those brown bits on the bottom of your pan, add a little bit of chicken stock, and then you're going to add a full can of coconut milk, put your chicken back in there, add a little bit of hot honey, cilantro, serve it on top of that microwave rice that we like so much.
Okay, a halfway homemade meal that you can freeze.
I would say lasagna. Lasagna is that one. Take that lasagna and freeze it. If not,
make a double.
Yeah, make a double. You always make 2 lasagnas. And that's something that I made as a rule for myself, because if I'm going to make a lasagna, which feels so intentional and beautiful, it truly is such a gift, in my opinion, when someone hands you a homemade lasagna. So either I'm giving it to someone else or I'm giving it as a gift to my future self. And it's just better that way. So always make 2 lasagnas.
Love it. Okay, last one. Your favorite halfway homemade dessert.
Oh, we haven't talked about dessert at all.
We haven't.
We like to do strawberry shortcakes as a great halfway homemade dessert. Make your strawberries during that lunchtime. If you do want to like, oh my gosh, I'm just having a moment and I want to just treat my kids today to something special. Chop those strawberries, a little bit of sugar, some water, let them sit in the fridge all day long, turn into a beautiful strawberry syrup, and then just buy the pack of Angel food cake.
Yep. And it's not that hard. When we do this, we do the fresh whipped cream. It's so easy.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time my sister-in-law came to Thanksgiving and was like, oh, I need to make the whipped cream real quick. And I was like, oh, no, guys, I don't fit in here. Like, I can't make whipped cream. And then I actually realized what it was. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's like 3 things.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
And to me it makes a difference, and it's easy. Oh, Jessa, this was incredible. I think when this episode goes live, we should have people post in the comments, like, show us the notes that you just took, because
what do
really,
those notes sound like, and how accurate are the recipes after you've tried to get them from me?
But I think you're right. When it comes to cooking, baking, yes, it's a whole nother ball game. But when it comes to cooking, a lot of it is you're guessing, and it's a little bit here and a little bit there. And every single time you make something, you get a better feel for how it should be and how it should taste and how it should look.
Yeah.
And it can be fun.
It can be fun.
I feel inspired that I can have more fun after talking to you today.
Oh, I love that. It really is fun. And it can be less of a pain point if you allow yourself the grace to let it be fun. And if you look at recipes and just stop feeling like I can't afford this or I don't have the time, then make it your own. It's okay.
Yep. Love that. Well, until next time, friends.
All right. Until next time.
Now let's go eat.
Oh, no, seriously. Let's go.
Okay. Bye.
All right, y'all. This is the time where I pretend to be your yoga teacher and try to transition you back into the real world in the most gentle way. Let me say a blessing over you as you get ready to head back into your day. On the busy Tuesdays, when your attention is sliced and diced as much as the onions on your cutting board, may you be blessed to remember that love does not equal Julia Child's beef bourguignon. Love is scooping piping hot hamburger helper into bowls for hungry eaters with Betty Crocker waiting in the wings with dessert. It sounds like Jell-O followed by instant chocolate pudding when someone has a bad day. Love is not measured by the effort in the kitchen, but by the hands that have served and given their time to someone else. Okay, so my simplicity tip this week in all things cooking, more garlic is usually always better. There's usually never a situation where we need less garlic, in my opinion. But when it comes to garlic, that is a huge pain point for me. Honestly, truly, I loathe peeling garlic, crushing it, chopping it. So do yourself a favor, just buy the bag of peeled garlic. Hey, thanks for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope that you got a few ideas you can make your life easier and go halfway homemade. You can find show notes for this episode over at emilylay.com for more info on links and resources that I mentioned here. And you can shop our Simplified planners and products. You can also follow me on Instagram at Jessa Bray, that's a double Y on the end, to see what I'm cooking next or what color I've decided to paint my kitchen this week. You can also follow our brand Simplified for tons of simplicity tips and inspiration to get you through the day. If you really like this episode, go give us a follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really liked it, first of all, you're amazing. Thank you so much. So kind. Second of all, please feel free to say those things in a little review. You are very nice and we appreciate you. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Be sure to tune in next week for more simplified goodness. This is Jessa Bray signing off. Bye.